Yeah, we'll run it from here, and then you can interject with your comments. So we'll have some questions on some things. So.
Mayor, you're live.
Okay, good deal. Turn it over to Board Member Carlos, who will run the meeting.
We ready?
Yeah. Oh,
We're
you're
ready.
live.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City of Madison Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Monday, November 15th, 2021. Before we get started, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. City Hall's in mourning today. We've had a long-time city employee that passed away over the weekend. Gene Harrell worked in the water office for over 30 years, and a member of another employee in the clerk treasurer's office whose family member passed away over the weekend also. So this time we'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll start with the roll call.
Okay. Evelyn, here. Carlo,
Here.
and Courtney.
Courtney is here. I will be participating in the discussion over the phone, but I will not be involved in any vote on any of the materials on today's agenda because I'm not there physically.
Got that noted, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Entertain a motion for approval.
I read the minutes and I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No adjustments noted this morning. Unfinished business. We'll move on with new business. We have a street closure request for a very merry Christmas celebration. Welcome, Hannah Fagan. Hannah Mahoney.
Yes, good morning.
This is resolution number 66-2021, resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding a street closing for a very merry Christmas celebration. Whereas there's been a request filed by Hannah Fagan on behalf of the City of Madison for a street closing in connection with the city's A Very Merry Christmas celebration to be held on December 4th, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Broadway Street between Main Street and West 4th Street shall be closed from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, December 4th, 2021. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said street as closed shall be in the supervision and control of the City of Madison, Indiana, in times of the year 2021.
Okay, Hannah, you want to explain what you got on the agenda for that?
Yeah, so the Winter's Farmers Market is still going on during that time, so they'll be on one side of Broadway, and then we're coordinating with them. But we have made the decision with the Parks Department to move the Christmas craft show that they do annually over to the Broadway Fountain because we are doing a Very Merry Madison Christmas celebration immediately following the parade. So if you've been to the parade, you see everyone just leaves afterwards. Our goal is to keep people downtown shopping local. So we are bringing in a live reindeer that will be around until about 1:30. So immediately following the parade, they'll be down there for families to come pet, take photos with. We will also have an ice skating rink down there, free to the public. It is going to be there until 3 p.m. So immediately following the parade until 3 p.m. There will be all the vendors set up for the Christmas craft show. We will also have some booths for kids to do free crafts. No charge for those sort of things, and then we're hoping to bring in some food vendors as well. So it's just the goal is to keep people downtown, keep them shopping. We'll have a trackless train. We'll have a couple other things for families to enjoy. So we just need the road closed for that.
Okay, sounds like a big event.
Yeah, hopefully.
The only question I have, the intersection of Third and Broadway, will that intersection be closed to through traffic?
Let me check. Pull up a map.
Do we need to close Third Street and Vine Street?
We probably will because we need to have a space for the ice skating rink. So the ice skating rink's actually gonna be like in the intersection. So,
Can we close it at Elm or is it Vine?
let me
that we
see.
need?
Give me 1 second.
Elm Street, yeah. We don't want cars coming up Third Street,
Yeah.
going through the intersection of
No,
Broadway.
so that they can actually, cars can still go down Third actually.
Yeah.
So we will close it right before Third.
Okay. And the other question, the residents on Broadway Street on both sides between Third and Fourth Street, will those residents be notified?
Yeah, we will make sure they're notified. We'll have to put out no parking signs and all of that like we normally do, but we'll notify them. I know in the area we're looking, there's not too many residents.
Is this the same train like you had down at on the riverfront? that you
Yeah,
didn't let
it's the
me-
same company we had for the Halloween festival.
Same
So
one
they're-
you didn't let me drive?
Yeah.
One?
Yep, so they're bringing in two other, the ice skating rink and then a couple other things. And then the reindeer are coming from a company in Indianapolis, and they're real, they're little reindeer that kids can pet and everything, so they'll be cool to have.
They're supposed to be coming from the North Pole.
Sorry, yes. They're coming from the North Pole.
They'll spend the night in Indianapolis and then work their way.
Yes, exactly, they have to visit lots of kids, so.
Okay, well-
Indianapolis got a bigger airport.
There we go.
Okay, any other questions?
Make a motion, we accept the resolution number 66-2021.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any discussion, any questions from the audience? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Next item on the agenda is an agreement, INDOT agreement for stormwater work along State Road 56 and Ferry Street. And Mayor, I would have you on the line here for your input on this project also. We got Brian Jackson.
Okay, yeah, this is it's a highway utility agreement. We do them whenever INDOT does projects in our area and when they're gonna do something that affects us. This is, INDOT will be installing a new storm sewer on State Road 56 and Ferry Street. The details are laid out in your paperwork and exhibits, but it basically runs down Ferry Street and cuts across just north in front of our water treatment plant there, so it's affecting some of our utilities. The agreements for, due to the construction, certain adjustments, removals, alterations, and relocations of the existing facilities of the water utility, they have to be made. The estimated total cost of the relocation is $60,942. The estimated cost of the non-reimbursable relocation work of the city's water main is approximately $7,500. That's basically our share that we have to pay, and we have to approve today at this meeting that we're gonna set, funds aside for those construction costs. The PPW just needs to approve the $7,500 amount at the meeting today. Once approved, I will sign and submit the required INDOT agreement and send the agreement in the minutes of the meeting showing the approval of said funds to INDOT so the project can move forward. Within 45 days after the contractor is awarded, the water utility shall pay INDOT that sum equal to 100% of the utility's share for the bid price of the construction. We've done this in the past. The $60,942 is basically just the cost for the water relocations, and of that portion, $7,500 of it is ours, which is where our water lines are inside state-owned right-of-way. The rest is in our property, so that's why they pay for it. It's pretty simple. Like I said, we've done it in the past. We just gotta say we've set $7,500 aside to help take care of that when it comes time for the project.
When do you think the project will start?
It's changed several times. At the last meeting we had in August, the project's, they're estimating it's gonna begin in September of 2022. But initially, I mean, it's been kicked down the road quite a few times. It was supposed to start this year in the spring, and then it was the fall, and now it's next year in the fall. But that's just how things go with construction and design.
You know what the, kind of what the changes are gonna be made in that area?
As it relates to,
As it relates to this project, I mean.
well, for the water, they're just, where they're putting a storm sewer in, they're gonna be knocking out services and lines, and they're gonna just replace them right where they are. Their project is to improve the storm drainage off of State Road 56 as it heads south, because right now, it's going through a drain at the southwestern corner of that intersection through private property, and it's in not very good shape. And so they're trying to rectify that situation and get it back onto our property and the state's property, and they're gonna be doing some property taking so that there's like, just north of our water treatment plant, there's a, I don't know if it's a hotel or apartment type place.
Right.
They're gonna have to take some of their property to put the line through, down there at the southern end of that property.
So it's kind of to divert stormwater from that property?
Well,
Or,
no, it's for the drainage of State Road 56.
right,
And it's to get the drainage off of private property where they have no easement onto public and state-owned land. Because, and it's in disrepair right now, so that's generally the reason. It's gonna fail at some point, and it's already failed somewhat. There's a sinkhole down there, which we fixed, but it's gonna just get worse because the pipe's no longer in usable condition.
Most all this work will be like within 150 turn foot of Ferry Street.
It'll be going right down Ferry Street, yeah, and probably at certain times, they may have to close State Road 56 and Ferry Street when this work's done. But INDOT will come up with a traffic plan. I've been advising them on that, but, then the only detour around that I know of is to go down all the way at the end of Vaughn Drive and come down and come back around up, which they don't like to do, but short of not closing the 56, that's the only other, reducing it to one lane, but depending upon the extent of what they have to dig up, which they'll find out once they start the project. They're hoping to just make it a one lane so that they don't have to detour, but they don't know that yet.
it'd be a tough detour for tractor trailers.
Yes.
So, yeah,
But that, you have to look too at the load limits on Vaughn Drive. I mean, we need to try
Right.
to avoid.
Right, yeah, if they have to detour, only local cars will be able to do that. They would have to set their detour up probably all the way back up in VV and make them go up 129.
Okay. That's
Right, similar to the way they do now, but the majority of people's gonna go down Vaughn Drive.
Mayor, did you have any comments?
Yeah, Brian, I think this is the same property in which we sold them right-of-way access to, isn't it?
Yes, you're talking about down there by the water treatment plant?
Yes.
Yes,
So in preparation for this project, we sold them the right-of-way. Now they're doing the infrastructure work, and we're sharing in a very, very small portion of the cost. So even though the monies are coming out of different funds, it's really almost a net zero cost to the city for this.
correct. Right now, and once the project's completed, we will have to take over the stormwater infrastructure. That's per INDOT and state regulations, even though we're not the ones building it, we will be the ones maintaining it.
Any other comments?
None for me.
I make a motion, we approve the agreement, with the state highway utility, the state highway agreement.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next item on the agenda is an agreement for vegetation remediation along Crooked Creek.
I'll handle this one. So what you have in front of your board is a proposal from Pike's Tree Care. As you know, in the summer, around June 18th through 19th, we had a devastating well as flooded property miles away from downtown Madison. Ever since then, we have been working towards solutions. Part of those solutions include working with DNR. We've entered into an agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers. We've also had conversations with INDOT with regard to infrastructure, the 421 infrastructure and its impact on the Crooked Creek watershed. But for the short term, there are several things that we can do, and one of which is to remediate the vegetation overgrowth. We did a survey of literally almost the entire length of the watershed, and this area that we're proposing to deal with now on a really an immediate, urgent basis runs from West Jefferson Street over to West Street. And the reason that area is so critical is because it's the narrowest area of the whole watershed channel that overflowed with the banks that created the flooding in that area. And the vegetation there has not been remediated for about 15 years, and it's very overgrown. And it has impeded the flow of stormwater through the Crooked Creek watershed out to the river. We have ARPA monies that City Council has appropriated for stormwater infrastructure, and we would fund the cost of this initial phase of vegetation remediation with ARPA monies. There is some private property that runs along there, so we'll be working with the property owners. But it's urgent that we do this because there's already damage to retaining walls along that area. And this is just one part of a whole long-term strategy to bring solutions to mitigate damage from a future flash flood event.
I see, Mayor, in the agreement, the work is to be performed between November 15th and March 31st. So.
Right. Yeah, the timing of doing it is good because we're kind of in what would normally be an off-season for tree work. But I'm working with Steve Pike at Pike's Tree Care. They're going to build this into their already busy schedule, and we can get this done now rather than, waiting and then potentially not being able to get it done until next summer.
Yeah. Being familiar with that area, I agree that the overgrowth has been tremendous the last few years. So it looks like something definitely needs to be removed.
Dave, we'll also be talking in the near future about where we are with regard to those planning strategies. Well, we're meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers again this week to really map out the hydrological and hydraulic studies that they're going to be performing. But there are some interim steps we can take that would, we believe anyway, help mitigate the impact from a future flash flood while we're working on the long-term planning with the Corps of Engineers and DNR and INDOT. And then about a year from now, as those studies wind down, they will be offering up solutions that then we'll have to figure out how we build that infrastructure so that we can mitigate future flooding events.
Yeah.
So this is definitely something we have to do, and not just the Crooked Creek watershed, but we need to pay closer attention to all of the culverts and drainage in the interior of our community so that we can mitigate flooding.
Has there been any discussion with the Army Corps about from this area going west, maybe cleaning the creek bed of any debris and logs and tree limbs and things like that could help back up the water going forward?
Yeah, so there's really multiple approaches to this. We've already cleaned some of the debris out that we could get from the bank without having a construction and a floodway permit from DNR. But after we do this vegetation remediation, that's the other part of this, is we're working with our consultants, Commonwealth Engineering, who does all our water for the city, on getting that DNR permit so that we can get into the creek bed with equipment. Right now, we can only take equipment into the creek bed if you have a special permit from DNR, but the vegetation remediation, since that work is done manually, we're able to do this remediation without going through further planning with DNR.
Right.
It's all part of that strategy, short term and then long term, Dave.
Yeah.
I personally believe we're going to have some really good outcomes with all the attention and focus we're making on planning. That will have some good outcomes for us in the future.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve the proposal from Pike's Tree Care.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I would ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Madison Police Department proposed standard operating procedure additions. We have Chief Wallace at the podium.
Good morning, Board. I do have one proposal to finish for take in consideration with regards to social media policy with the Madison Police Department. It is number 45, standard operating procedure number 45. I think you do have a copy of that in front of you, if I'm not mistaken. This is one of the many recommendations that the company that the mayor hired when he first became mayor to study our SOPs, and this is one of the recommendations that they made as well, that we develop a social media policy. Obviously, we've changed and developed quite a few. This is something that we felt definitely need to continue to follow up on, and as we continue to do so, I mean, we'll look at all of our policies and procedures and change and tweak as such, but this is one that's that needed to be added, and so we're proposing that here today.
So we had never had a social media policy before this date?
Sounds about more, so yes, correct.
It looks like you covered everything real well. It's not much that you even picked up TikTok, but hasn't been in existence
Well,
that
that's
long.
ever changing. We may have to add a few more.
Well, that's
words
true.
to it.
That's true. This looks like a very good start to me, and I'm sure it's needed with all the different medias and things
It
that you
is.
can do wrong on those things.
Well, that's absolutely right. We definitely need to set forth guidelines, for the officers and the employees. They, may have unintentional consequences come from things that they do put on social media. So it's just a good reminder for them, and puts guidelines in place should they step outside of the guidelines. So that was necessary. It's probably much overdue, but certainly good.
It's well written. I
Would be
think it's a
another.
very, very thorough work.
Thank you.
Good job.
Chief, I think we're probably all familiar with the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash from a couple
Yes.
years ago,
Yes.
where pictures of the crash scene
Leaked out from
unfortunately
law
leaked
enforcement.
out to the public and on social media, and
There's still lawsuits going
Yeah.
Yes.
today over that.
Right. Absolutely.
hopefully this would,
Yeah, a lot of the information that we come across, that we photograph and audio record is obviously very sensitive information, and needs to stay within the confines of the department and for the proper channels for it to be used, which is through the court system. And also just a friendly reminder that what you put out there, you're representing the department, whether that's your intention or not, just by being a member. So
That's a worldwide bulletin board.
yeah, we're not restricting them for
Right.
participating in social media. The restrictions are if you're participating in social media and representing the department, whether it be through wearing your uniform or whatever it may be, that you do represent us at the end of the day. So that's why it's important to put the guidelines out there.
Mayor, did you have any comments?
this. I think he did an excellent job of crafting the SOP. Happy we're still continuing to follow, recommendations from the firm that we hired in early 2020 to do a thorough review of our SOPs, and it just demonstrates with Chief Wallace's leadership that things continue to evolve, and we want our department to be as strong and professional as it can be, and having good policies that train and govern that is a key step to doing that. And so I think this is a good SOP.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions? Any questions from the public?
I make a motion, we accept SOP -045.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Board, Mayor, thank you.
And one question.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna look into the flashing stop lights at West and Bond. Have you ever checked into that? To kind of make people aware that stop, because down there over the weekend, sitting there, a couple guys, and there was one.
There was some
person-
issues with it.
Yeah. They didn't see it, because there's a lot of red, blue, and all that with the playground equipment. But I know that the flashing lights that the state had up here, that they used on East Second Street during road construction, where it would just pick up when you got within 20 feet or whatever it was. And they're solar powered, so there's no wiring. But anyway, if you check into
I
those,
will, I'll give you,
appreciate it.
and I apologize, I'll get with Tony today,
Oh,
or
that's
call
okay.
and see if we
He's
can.
a busy guy.
Are you talking about the stop signs that have the flashing around the
Yeah.
edges?
Mhm.
And I agree, those are very effective, they
Yeah.
certainly get your attention, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I will certainly go.
All
ahead
right,
and
thank
get
you.
that done, so.
appreciate it.
Anything
Also, I
else
think
for
this,
Chief?
I think you guys inquired about the 12-hour shifts, on how
Mhm.
that would pan out, and the department has chosen to
Very
go
good.
with the 12-hour shifts, so we'll continue to do that in 2022.
It gives them some good off time with several more
Yes.
weekends a year.
Pros and
Great.
cons there, when you gotta cover 24/7, there's nothing perfect, but.
That's right.
But
That's
that
right.
certainly does give them a lot of time.
Well, and putting it back in their lap and letting them decide by the
Yes.
majority of the votes,
Yeah.
it's a great idea.
Kind of forced the hand a little bit to try it,
You're right.
but now that they tried it, the majority likes it, so
Good.
we'll continue that in 2022. So.
Very good.
Our 3 young officers out of the academy just completed their field training, so actually starting today, all 3 are actually patrolling on their own, so very proud and pleased with them. We had one in the academy, she will be graduating December 9th, so when she gets out, she'll be going to the field training program, and so we're certainly can let a sigh of relief out now with getting our force back to some full numbers. So.
And being back up to with some part-time guys
Yes.
coming back, that's,
Yes, we
Yeah,
have,
help out.
Officer Flint is certainly, in his K-9 certainly paid dividends for us already, so good to have them on the side, ready to roll if we need them.
keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Have you been able to utilize the part-time people so far?
Yes, yeah, Ben Flint, he is part-time, he has his K-9, which this board reinstated, here several weeks ago, and, or actually signed a contract to allow him to be part of the city force, and, yeah, he and his K-9 have paid dividends already for us, so,
Great.
yeah. Good to have that backup plan.
About to get in the hiring process again?
We are, yes, the 24th, I think, is the deadline for applications to be turned in, and then, December 3rd, 4th, we will be doing our, physical agility and our written test, so, and the process is going well. I'm pretty excited about some of the applicants we're getting, so,
Very good.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next, we have a couple of PACE extensions. We have Nicole. Come up.
Good morning. I have 2 PACE extensions for you. The first is Jennifer Joes at 413 East Main Street. She is requesting a period of 3 months. Her new deadline would be February 16th, 2022. She has not received a midpoint. She's had a couple of issues getting her contractor up and going, but he says that the work will be done by then. And then the second is Lynn Pennington at 227 West Main. He's asking for 6 months and 21 days. His new deadline would be May 31st, 2022, and he has received part of his payment.
Did he say what his issue?
It's the same. They're both waiting on top pointing. It's just at this point in the time of year they're not able to do that work, but should be done relatively easily or within those time frames.
But he's wanting 6 months, and Jennifer's wanting 3 months.
Yes.
That's your recommendation?
Yes.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we, accept the pace extensions for both properties, 413 East Main and 227 West Main.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Cole.
Thank you.
Have Mindy, Deputy Mayor, come up with a Main Street project update.
Good morning, Board. Just very quick update today on the road project that really is going to end soon, I promise. They're wrapping up the final pieces. So they are today working on Hanover Hill doing the mastic repair, which is the deeper cracks and holes on there they're filling today. They have a little bit more crack sealing to do around the bridge, I believe. That should be finished tomorrow. And then in terms of striping, they'll have to come back and paint and stripe through there once that's all done. We have 12 turn arrows on Main Street left to complete and 2 crosswalks. There may be a few parking spot stripes that they need to do where cars were parked that they had to work around. They're going to come back and try and fill those in. But those are the last remaining pieces of this entire project.
Can they do the striping in cold weather?
They can. They're, I don't know to what temperature they can do it, but they are putting an additive on it that makes it work properly. Yes.
Kind of moving into this time of year. I hate this time of
Yeah.
year.
So what they have done in the last week or so is they have to wait until the fog burns off. So it's usually 10:30 before they can get out there and start putting it down, and then they work while the sun's out and during the warmest part of the day. And it has worked well so far.
Okay. I'm getting less and less questions, less and less comments that things must be going good if it's quiet.
No news is good news.
That's exactly right. Thank you, man.
I think as they get the arrows painted on the turn lanes, it eliminates confusion. And I know when I've been driving on Main Street, really I haven't seen any near misses or people in the wrong lane, or it seemed like everybody's just flowing with going with the flow. So personally, I think it's working out real good. I'm happy with it.
Good. Thank you.
I think it's working out great too. And Mindy, did you mention the open house tonight?
I did not. Thank you. Tonight, as part of the long-term project for Main Street, there is a required public meeting that we will host tonight to bring people in. They can look at the drawings. They can see what we've already done in terms of this project, changing the traffic pattern flow and make whatever comments they would like to on that. But the real intent of this public open house is to talk about and get ideas for the long-term plan for the entire section of Main Street. So we encourage people to come to that. It starts at 5 o'clock. They can talk with the architects, talk with the engineers, talk with people on the steering committee, give their comments, ideas, concerns, and we will gather all that back. So we hope to have a lot of interaction and allow people to have a lot of input in what they want their Main Street to look like long-term.
Good. See you there.
Thank you.
Encourage everyone that's tuning in, watching this, to attend that meeting tonight. It'll be really informative about the future of Main Street and the future of downtown.
Right.
Really looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mindy?
That's all from me today.
Thank you.
Mindy did not tell you that we received a big grant recently. Maybe she's keeping that in her pocket.
She bonded. She's coming back there.
So I guess I'll tell you about the grant we just got. I assume you're talking about the CCMG grant, Mayor. We applied in the fall for the fall round of a Community Crossings grant. We were awarded that last week for the entire amount that we requested. It's about $957,000. So that will end up being close to a $2 million project. More details to come on that. It is our road paving project for this year. Will actually be completed in the spring. So we have some meetings we'd like to talk to residents about and council to make sure they understand our thought process on it, but it will be quite impactful the way we intend to operate the paving project for this one next year. And then we will evaluate and see if we can apply again next year for another project in a different area. So more to come on that. I'll get the details for you, and
you got the 100% of what you requested.
we did, yes.
You must have done a good job with that grant.
And that'll be for city roads and streets
Yes.
all throughout the city, so.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about in terms of impact, so I'll give you the details.
Okay. Very good.
Great.
Good job, Mindy.
Moving on, claims.
I reviewed the claims and I make a motion that we accept the claims as printed.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next item is the mayor's comments.
All right, there's a lot going on, as you can imagine, but I'd like to invite the board and anybody in the community to attend tomorrow night's city council meeting, where we will be honoring and recognizing the career of Captain Stephan for the Madison Police Department, who recently retired. That'll be tomorrow night at City Council at 5:30 at City Council Chambers. I want to mention too that we're meeting this week with our engineers, and we'll receive the first bit of data from the parking study that we engaged through the Redevelopment Commission. As you know, we have a lot of tourism and business in downtown Madison, and at different times of day and week, we have our challenges with regard to parking. So we, through the Redevelopment Commission, and engage an engineer to utilize drone technology to help us understand what our supply and demand is for our parking. So we'll get some preliminary results from that this week that we'll continue to digest, and the goal there is to determine what investment we need to make and perhaps what policies we need to address. A few other quick things I'll mention. There is a looming vaccine mandate that most people have probably read about, but because of lawsuits, the implementation from OSHA for a mandatory vaccine of all city employees, because we have over 100 employees, that has now been delayed until early January the 4th, 2022. It's working its way through the court system. We are not in favor of a mandatory vaccine. There's no position on the vaccine itself, but in a labor market where we're already constrained, this does not make sense. Talked a little bit about flood project. Army Corps of Engineer will be in our offices this week. We'll continue to work through the engagement of the comprehensive study of Crooked Creek watershed that they'll be doing. Clean water. We've been working all year on a Jefferson County clean water project with the City of Madison Utilities Department. We continue to plead with the Jefferson County Commissioners for support of the cost of that $15 million project. We're toward the tail end of a rate study, and within the next 2 weeks we'll start having discussions about financing and rate impact because of that. Lastly, but not least, there is an infrastructure bill that is being signed into law, I believe, today by President Biden. We do not have a lot of detailed information on what what that means to the city of Madison, but to the state of Indiana, it could generate between $8 and $9 billion worth of funding for infrastructure across the state. That will come through several different government agencies at the state level, and then we'll learn to what exactly it will cover and how we apply for it. But it will be for roads and bridges and broadband and electric vehicles and stormwater management, but it'll probably be, like everything else, awarded on a very competitive basis because of the demand for those dollars. But we will continue to work hard to get City of Madison's fair share of any of these funds so we can continue our progress in improving our roads and sidewalks and infrastructure, and particularly stormwater management. That's all I got, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. A lot going on in the city.
Yes, yes, sir.
Open it up for public comment. Seeing none,
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank
Next
you.
meeting is Monday, December 6th. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Mayor.